In this video, we'll dive into the various strategies related to operations of manufacturing as well as service organizations. Now, the difference between the two is that the output of manufacturing operations is a tangible item that can be placed in inventory, whereas the output of service operations is not tangible and cannot be placed in inventory. So keep that in mind as we go through the content. Make sure to review the learning objectives for this learning block so you know what to expect as you watch this video, read the chapter, and discuss these topics in class. As you write your Cornell notes on the content, make sure you understand product life cycles, the types of operational decisions for manufacturing versus service operations, as well as the role of quality in operations. I will be supplementing content as usual so that you have a fuller understanding of these topics. In a manufacturing environment, the overall process plan to make an item is often referred to as a manufacturing routing, which is based on a series of individual processes. Using baking as an example to demonstrate the four elements of processes, we have the ingredients like eggs and flour as our inputs, the cookies being the final output or end product, the recipe instructions as our controls, and our baking tools like a mixer and pans as our resources. The product process matrix is used to plan product outputs or end products and has 5 process structures that can be plotted based on the volume of the x-axis and the product variety on the y-axis. This matrix establishes the relationship between different products and services and the steps involved in their manufacturing or delivery by merging the product life cycle, which we'll cover shortly, with the process life cycle. Now, the 5 process structures help us determine how the 4 elements of a process should be organized. Businesses and strategic managers can use this relationship tool to analyze whether the process approach that a company is using is suitable for its life cycle or not. This tool helps understand how specific production processes are better suited to different production volumes than others. Looking at the project process here, where it's high variety and low volume, these are things like custom homes or bridges. Job shop process or jobbing has medium to low volume and medium to high variety. Think beauty shops or auto repair. With batch process, we're right in the middle, medium volume, medium variety. These are bakeries and production of auto parts. Now, with repetitive process, this is where we've got medium to high volume and medium to low variety. Think appliances, manufacturing automobiles, or even buffet restaurants. And then down here with high volume, but low variety is oil refineries, chemical plants, bottling factories. So we're making a lot of the same thing. The product life cycle is the typical progression of goods and services for a company. Knowing where a product is in its life cycle allows the company to adjust its operations as well as its marketing in order to match it with market demand. The first stage is introduction. So think we're introducing new products. There's market evaluation, design, testing, packaging, designing, and setting up of the supply chain. An example of this would be artificial intelligence, which is very new right now. The next stage is the growth stage. Here, sales are expanding or growing. You've got changes to product design, manufacturing processes, and the supply chain is being monitored and evaluated with a focus on maximizing revenue. An example of this would be electric vehicles right now. In the maturity stage, demand is relatively stable, product and production changes are minimal, and the focus is on reducing costs and increasing production rates and supply chain efficiencies. So think of Coca-Cola or iPhones. Another thing to note in the maturity stage is that competitors are entering the marketplace and can be a major threat. So strong companies will find ways to refresh or make their products new so it can extend how long a product is within the maturity stage. And last is the decline stage. So here demand is dropping and companies will try to adopt innovations to keep customers interested, but at some point Customers just don't want it anymore. And so the example here is the fax machine. Now, each of these phases can vary in length depending on how a company manages that product in that phase. Operations management is the management of the transformation process in which inputs are made into products and services. It's concerned with converting materials and labor into goods and services as efficiently as possible to maximize the organization's profit. Operations management handles various strategic issues, including determining the size of manufacturing plants, what project management methods to use, and implementing the right information technologies. Other operational issues include the management of inventory levels, including work in process levels, and raw materials acquisition, quality control, materials handling, and maintenance policies, all things that we've learned about in previous learning blocks. Recall when we learned about demand planning, we learned about independent and dependent demand, where independent demand is demand created by consumers for a completed product, like a bicycle, whereas the dependent demand is the components of the bicycle needed to make it. So another concept to keep in mind is the bill of materials. This is a comprehensive listing of the dependent demand parts and components needed to manufacture and make the final product. When I was in aerospace and defense, I would receive the bill of materials and use that to purchase the goods and services we needed in order to create the products we were doing for the government. There are 4 common production approaches that a company uses to align its manufacturing capabilities with customer expectations. This means that the marketing department and the manufacturing department have to communicate in order to be on the same page on how to make things in response to its customers. The first approach is engineer to order, and it usually has very long lead times because it has highly customized products. So customer orders are needed first, and then the process and new designs begin. So it's like building something from scratch. Think building a custom home, for instance. The next option is make to order. So this is a larger customer base, but allows for some customization. So again, you need the customer orders coming in first, and most of the design work is already done or ready to go, and you'll have some parts in inventory, but you might have to customize some things. So an example of that would be Boeing's airplanes. So when a customer wants to order an airplane from Boeing, they can still customize some aspects of it, but much of the design is already in place. The third option is assemble to order. But in assemble to order, the products are assembled or put together from standardized parts and modules. And there are usually several assembly options available to customers. So the example here is personal computers. And in the image here, I actually have like a gaming personal computer setup that customers can choose options from. And then the last one is make to stock. So think mass production of goods that can be kept in inventory. So when a customer wants it, it's ready to ship out to them quickly. Now, this requires demand forecasting to estimate how much production should occur. So examples of this would be like televisions, patio furniture, and clothing. Service jobs account for almost 80% of total U.S. employment. We are a service economy. Service operations usually provides intangible services directly to consumers, which cannot be inventoried. Intangible meaning you can't touch it. Now, different types of services include business services like consulting, banking and financial services, trade services like retailing and maintenance and repair, personal services like restaurants, beauty and healthcare, public services like government and education, as well as infrastructure services such as transportation and communication. Now, service operations require some amount of interaction with consumers. So if you've ever worked in retail or customer service, you know what that's like. And so it's inherently variable because of the customer interactions and the unpredictable nature of humans. Now, customers contribute as much to the end product as many service providers do. And it can be quite difficult to measure quality due to personal judgment. If you've ever gone onto a business's Yelp page, you can see the different personal judgments in their postings. Now, just like manufacturing operations, service operations has a few common service types. Service factory, this is where it's low labor cost, low customization, and low customer interactions. The focus here is on facilities and equipment utilization by maximizing output and keeping costs low. So examples here are hotels and airlines, right? So hotels want to fill their rooms and keep their costs low. And similarly, airlines will sell all their seats on the airplane because they're trying to maximize their output. The next is a service shop. So there's high customization and high customer interaction, but low labor costs. The emphasis here in a service shop is to stay current with technology updates and scheduling. So the example here is an auto repair shop because each customer bringing in their car has a different need and the services have to be customized for that vehicle, for that customer, for whatever problem they're bringing in. Next is mass service. This requires lower customization and customer interaction, but labor costs are relatively high. The example here is retail banks. Operations managers are usually concerned with improving service times and strive to employ automated technologies, like an ATM. And last is professional service. In this service type, there is high customization and high customer interaction with high labor costs. And an example of this would be accountants, consultants, doctors, and lawyers. Now, the service providers tend to be highly educated. The services are time-consuming and deeply customized for the consumer. Quality is an important aspect in manufacturing and service organizations, and it can impact a company's market share depending on how consumers perceive the product or service quality. Here are the 8 dimensions of quality, and it's helpful to think about it in the context of a product you own. Think about your cell phone. Does it do what you need it to do? What are its features? Is it reliable? Will it work when you need it to? How long will it last? Does it meet the specifications that it's marketed? How easy is it to maintain or fix? How does it look and feel? So the aesthetics. And then ultimately, what's the image or perception you have about the quality and about the company? While there are many different quality approaches, I'm going to highlight some of the common ones. So total quality management, or TQM, is focused on designing processes to produce consistent quality. Now, all members of an organization participate in improving processes, products, and services, and the culture in which they work. The emphasis is quality throughout the entire organization. So if you ever walk in a company that follows TQM, you might see signage on the wall, awards, processes that emphasize or highlight its emphasis on quality. It'll be on its website as part of its values. Now, there's a continuous goal of achieving improvements in products, services, the way it does things, in its people. And TQM has 8 principles listed here. And I'm providing them because as you look at these ideas might interest you. And that'll let you know that operations management and TQM in particular could be a good fit for you career-wise. Recall in the last learning block, we learned about lean inventory management. I also wanted to highlight that lean can also be used in manufacturing and service operations because lean is a philosophy about removing activities that do not add value, as well as removing waste or muda from the business. Here are 8 lean manufacturing mudas or waste that can be remembered using the acronym downtime. So we want to remove defects, overproduction, waiting, unused talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. Waste in any of these areas should be removed, and that creates more value and cost savings for the business and in turn the customer. One more approach I want to cover is 6 Sigma, and its focus is to identify the root cause of errors and addressing them or fixing them. This is a method that provides organizations tools to improve the capability of its business processes. Now, where Six Sigma comes from is it focuses on quality performance that results in 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So you can see here in the visual, if you've ever taken a business statistics class, you can see the sigma is the standard deviations away from the mean. And so we're aiming to be 6 standard deviations away from the mean. So that's where the Six Sigma comes from. And this increase in performance and decrease in process variation helps lead to defect reduction and an overall improvement in profits, employee morale, and quality of products or services. Now, while I mentioned that measuring the quality of service can be difficult, there are a couple of metrics that businesses use in order to measure service quality. The first metric is reliability. So, can you perform the promised service dependably and accurately? Next is responsiveness. So, willingness to help customers and provide service promptly. So, you're not making them wait a long time. Assurance means the knowledge and courtesy of employees and their ability to inspire trust and confidence. So if you think about the last time you were with a doctor or with someone providing a service, did you trust them to be an expert in their field? Empathy. So is there caring and individualized attention that the firm provides its customers? And last is there can be some tangibles related to service quality. So that could be the physical facilities, the equipment, and the appearance of personnel, like their uniform or how they're dressed. So if you think about the last time you went and had dinner at a restaurant, you can reflect on these 5 metrics to see if that restaurant has good quality service. As always, remember to take your weekly quiz before coming to class. You get 2 tries, so you can take your second attempt later in the week if you need to. Submit your Cornell notes by the end of the week, and make sure to check out the extra practice and extra credit through the quiz link in the module. If you have any questions, just let me know.